It's something my dad always said. Be like, hey,
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Concert Junkies, Rob and John. Oh, yeah.
And we're live. Would you like to introduce yourself?
What's up, world? My name's Lee Cross. I'm a comedian out of Texas.
So would you like to give me a little background of how you got started into comedy?
I grew up doing community theater here in my hometown of Bryan, Texas. Love being on stage. I always had to be the center of attention growing up. I had two younger siblings, so we were always vying for attention and whatnot. Started doing theater. Absolutely loved it. Loved being in front of the. I was all about entertaining the crowd. Love entertaining the crowd. Love doing fun shows where people laughed. And grew up watching stand-up comedy, Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, Blue Collar Comedy Tour. It was probably one of the first comedy things I ever watched on TV. And one day I was, when I was in college, I heard about a guy doing stand-up comedy at a local bar. And if you wanted to try it, you could sign up. So I wrote some jokes, went and signed up. And that was back in 2011. That's when that started. And I here and there, I did the, during college, I did the hobby, and then I got a job, so I quit doing it. Then I back into it. It wasn't until about 4 years ago that I kind of started taking it seriously, and I was like, oh, I can make like a living doing this if I really put my mind to it. So really started going to Houston and Austin and Dallas, trying to do shows there, and man, the rest is history. And trying to do this full time. That's all, make a living being a stand-up comedian. I want Netflix specials. I want to be on the Joe Rogan podcast. I want to be, when people think comedy, they think Lee Cross.
If you could pick just song lyrics to hit on a girl, what would you use?
Man, I'd do The Chair by George Strait, because that song's about how he lies to a girl to pick her up.
Interesting.
You ever heard that song?
No.
So it came back out in the 80s, and basically the song lyrics is, excuse me, you're sitting in my chair, but that's okay. I'll grab the one next to it. And then he starts talking to her about how she sat in her chair, and they talk about the band. And then at the end of the song, he admits that wasn't his chair after all. So it's one song about picking up a girl with a lie, basically. That's the bare bones of it. It's maybe 2 minutes long. It's not a very long song.
So what would you want to leave as your legacy?
I want people to remember me as the funniest guy they knew. Guy that's funny, who's caring, but mostly funny. That anytime someone thinks about me, it's always a good experience or a fun time they had with me.
I'm going to give you a Walmart scenario. Pick 5 things
Right.
to make the cashier blush or call the cops.
Okay, so first thing, a can of cat food, wet preferably. Oven mitts. The finger condoms you wear when you cut your finger. Some sleep aid. And another can of wet food.
That'd be very interesting.
Yeah.
So if you could pick your own showcase, dead or alive, 5 acts, who would it be?
We talking stand-up, we talking music, or we're talking anything?
All right, we're going to talk comedy, then we can get into music later on.
Okay, so for comedy, probably 5 comedians specific order because I wouldn't know who to put on first. I definitely bring Tom Segura. He is currently probably my favorite comedian to listen to. I'd have him. I would have my friend from Houston, Jerry Wang Longmire. He is probably one of the best comedians in Houston right now. He's getting ready to see him in the next couple of years being a big name. I'd definitely have him on there. I would definitely bring back George Carlin, 100% George Carlin. That guy was a beast. Let's see who else. Nate Bargatze, he's an up and coming comedian right now who just I think he's moving to Austin right now. He is fantastic to watch. Robin Williams, I would love to see Robin Williams live. I think. And the last one would be my buddy that I perform with all the time, Tyler Ray Morton. He's a real good friend of mine. We do a lot of shows together here. I would love to have him on that set because me and him, we've been through thick and thin, and I love seeing him be successful.
So with comedy, what's like your biggest pet peeve? Like when it comes to audience?
I don't like people who go to the show with the intent of heckling. I'm not a big fan of hecklers. It's part of it though. Like you're always going to have someone heckle because people feel like they need to be a part of the show. That is the biggest pet peeve with me because, so like I said, growing up doing musical theater, you will never go to a Broadway show and have someone heckle the person on stage. That will never happen. Is because people don't respect comedy as an art form, even though it is. And so if something happens, like if someone laughs a little too loud or they have a unique laugh or somebody spills a glass or something of that nature, that's fine. I don't mind that at all. It's when I'm up there and I have a set that I'm actually doing that I've been working on and I'm performing and they feel like they need to be a part of my show. That's one thing I can't stand. It's a huge pet peeve. There's nothing I can do about it because that is just the culture of stand-up comedy. But that's my pet peeve when it comes to audience members.
So what's your writing process? Is it just everyday life or you're watching?
Yeah, so mine's just everyday life. It's just stuff I've experienced, just in life in general. If something topical happens, I mean, I'm definitely going to talk about it. For me, it's just what comes to mind. I have my notepad on my phone, so whenever I think something, I'll just jot it down, something that comes to mind. And then later, when I actually have time, I usually set aside some time to actually write the joke out or write the situation out. I'll elaborate on it. So, but for me, it's just stuff that I've experienced because the thing is, you always talk about what you know, and the one thing I know well is me. So, a lot of my comedy is around things that I've experienced.
So I'm going to give you the Last Supper scenario. Who's your 12?
All right, so these are my 12. Do you want me to just list them and then say why, or just list them and then we'll talk later?
You can list them and say why.
Okay. So number 1, Teddy Roosevelt. He's my favorite president, and that's why I'd have him here. That dude was a boss back in the day. I would love to have a conversation with him. The second person, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Probably the smartest person in the world. I'm a big dum-dum, and I love talking to smart people, and especially with him, he helps people understand what he's talking about. It's like he's talking to a 5-year-old. So I would definitely want to talk to him. Johnny Sins, because I'm just a huge fan of his work. Burt Reynolds, because you got to have the bandit at the Last Supper. Jeff Gordon, just because I don't like him. Never liked Jeff Gordon as a NASCAR driver. Want Joe Rogan there because it's Joe Rogan. If you're gonna have Joe Rogan, there's gonna be a good time. He's probably my top 10 of comedians. Anne Frank, I want Anne Frank there because of the next person, Adolf Hitler. I want them to see how that conversation goes.
I don't
Helen
think that
Keller
goes well.
Nah,
I do not think that's going to go that well.
Helen Keller. Yeah, I want Helen Keller there because that's just going to be funny as shit. Seeing her just sit there, not knowing what's going on. Robin Williams, just because huge Robin Williams fans, not just with comedy, just it himself as an actor, fantastic. Definitely pick his brain on some things. Michael Keaton, because he's my favorite Batman. And last one, my boy Baby Yoda, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
And who's your female?
Helen Keller.
Okay.
I got many. I got Helen Keller and Frank. I got two.
Okay.
I got two girls.
What's the most fucked up thing you would have for dinner there, though?
I'd have pork, like bacon. I put a big old thing of bacon in front of Anne Frank, because he's Jewish, can't eat bacon.
That would be messed up.
Yeah.
Except for comedy, what else do you like doing?
I love working out. I've lost over 75 pounds this year. Really been focusing on my health. Love my dog Athena. She's the light of my life right now. She helped me get through COVID. Just because you couldn't really do anything, couldn't do comedy or anything. So just having her around was a big serotonin booster for me. I love watching Aggie football. Growing up here in College Station, I'm a huge Aggie fan. Love Star Wars. The Mandalorian season 3 is coming out. Super stoked for that. Love playing video games. Recently, just, picked up Grand Theft Auto 5 for the first time in a long time. Started playing that again. Movies. Now that you can go to the theater and actually watch movies. And then I love going to concerts. There's a country artist here locally. He's from Texas country artist, Cody Johnson. He's got a concert coming here in September. Super excited to see him. So yeah, I actually bought tickets to see Nickelback in the Woodlands, and then COVID happened, so that got shut down. I was kind of disappointed, and I'm a huge Nickelback fan. I don't care what people say. I love that band.
Everybody knows my feelings, so I'm not going to chime in on that. Everybody knows,
and that's
my
the
feelings.
thing, man. Like, yeah, and and I get why people don't like them, but man, I love listening to their music. And
on my end, it is not the other members. It's one Pacific member that just I can't. That's all right. Then we'll go to the music side of things here.
All right.
You can pick a two-day fest.
Okay.
First day is like Lilith Fair. It's only female. And then the second day is
only female.
One day is only female. The other day is Miss Mosh.
Okay. For the first day, only female. Definitely having Shania Twain, girls. Avril Lavigne, Hailstorm.
Okay.
Let's see what else. Leanne Rimes. I'd love to see her again. That girl's got a great voice. And let's see what else. Stevie Nicks.
Okay.
She's got some bangers out there. Yeah.
Then the second day.
Second day, we're gonna go. Cross Canadian Ragweed is one of the concerts I saw when I turned 18. They're no longer together, but those guys were like the epitome of Texas country. Breaking Benjamin, Volbeat, White Stripes. Let's throw Limp Bizkit in there. So I just watched the documentary about Woodstock 99. And to top it all off, let's go Aerosmith.
Okay. You can't go wrong with Aerosmith.
You can't, man.
Speaking of that, did you know that I Don't Want to Miss a Thing wasn't written for them?
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't.
I heard.
It was actually written. I cannot think of her name. The girl from Titanic. I can't think of her name right now for some reason.
Celine Dion.
Yeah, it was actually written for her.
Oh man, could you imagine her singing that though?
Yeah,
that would, man, that I would love to hear her sing that, to do that cover. I think that would go over very well.
But I think it would lose the meaning a little bit.
It would, but at the same time, just to see what it sounds like, or even a duet with her and Steven Tyler, I think that would be pretty cool too.
I mean, that would probably sell.
Oh, 100%. Look, that song fueled all the homecoming dances and proms that I went to in high school. When Armageddon came out, it was one of my favorite movies. That's always on my playlist. It is such a beautiful song. I think only number one hit. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean that song just that summer was phenomenal. I don't know why I thought that, but someone told me that was the only number one hit, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure they've had other number one hits. I'm not the biggest Aerosmith fan, but I was like, if that's their only number one hit, that's shot. I wouldn't have put my money on it, but that is a fantastic song.
It is. I just think it'd be very. I mean, if she did a cover of it, I think that would sell a lot.
Oh, 100%. And it's a completely, because you have Steven Tyler, the way he sings and the way that, that she's almost more, I want to say like an operatic singer, because, she's just her on stage, she has her band, and the way that she sings very vibrato. So I think her doing that cover would just be, fantastic. I'd probably cry.
If you can marry a fictional character, but you can never get divorced, who would it be?
Oh. Let's see here. So it's one and done. Once you marry her, it's for life, till death do us part.
Or yeet her off a building. Yeet.
Yeet. Let's see here. Should probably do it because I'll drive her crazy. Fictional character. I'm gonna go with Scarlet Witch from the Avengers. Because I'd marry Elizabeth Olsen in a heartbeat in real life. I was like, look, babe, we don't got a lot. I don't make a lot of money. I'm a struggling comedian, but there's gonna be nothing but love and laughs in this household until I make it big. Some average sized penis for sex. That's all I got.
So what's like the best joke you've ever written, you feel?
The best joke I ever wrote. So recently, the whole Roe versus Wade thing happened. And so I went up on stage and I was like, I know what you guys are thinking. That's that Wade guy from Roe versus Wade. And for whatever reason, the crowd erupted. It wasn't meant to be like a haymaker of a joke. It was just something that I said as soon as I got on stage. But for whatever reason, it just, the whole audience just erupted. And so I did my whole set, and then I went back and talked about Roe versus Wade. And And I was talking about how I was like, like I can't wait to be a dad. Like that's the one thing I want in life is to be a dad, so I'll raise a child and like have that, because everyone wants to have a legacy, and one way you do that is to have children to carry on your name. And I said, and thank God, Roe versus Wade finally happened, and crowd erupted again. So ended with a huge laugh.
So, what's your dream? Like, what venues did you want to play?
So I've actually wrote down like what I want. I want to, I want to be a household name. When people think stand-up comedy, they think Lee Cross. When I want to tour, I want to do all the big cities. I want to perform in all the big venues. I want my name in lights. I'd love to be, work my way into movies. But the one thing that the ultimate goal for me, and it's not a very big one compared to everything else, but I want to have my first, whether it be Netflix or Hulu or filmed on YouTube, I'd produce it myself. I want to come back to my hometown and here in Bryan College Station, Texas. And here in Bryan College Station, Texas is the Texas A&M University, home of the Aggies. There is a theater there. It's the Rudder Auditorium Theater. It seats about 1,500 people. I want to shoot my special there. And that's going to make it for me, that'll be the full circle. There are people in my life who have told me that I'm not funny. There are people who told me I will never be successful doing stand-up. So for me to film that there, my first special, that'll be, for me, that's when it comes first circle. And that's also that big fuck you to you guys. I made it. I started my comedy career here. And that's where it's really going to take off. That is the ultimate dream for me when it comes to that. If I can accomplish that, man, it's all been worth it. And after that, it's easy sailing.
So I'm gonna let you flip it on me. You can ask me anything.
Who's your favorite comedian?
I'm gonna have to say there's so many, but like at the moment, I like Bert. I can't think of his last name.
Kreischer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying at the moment.
Yeah. And mine changes because, like some guys will be doing a lot and then somebody else will come in because, everyone's working and doing their different things. I love Bert. And I'm sure you've heard his machine joke, right? The machine story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that he filmed a movie about that?
I heard about it, never got to see it though.
So it hasn't come out yet. They filmed it during, the pandemic and everything. So he stars in it, and the guy who plays his dad, it's Mark Hamill.
Really?
Luke Skywalker plays his dad in that movie. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see Bert Kreischer act on film. Because acting on film is different than acting on stage, and not acting on stage is different than doing stand-up. So I'm excited to see that. But I'm also excited to see him play opposite of Mark Hamill. So, and then plus the machine story itself is just a funny story altogether. So.
His podcasts are funny as hell.
Yes. I listen to anything that he's on. Two Bears, One Cave. I listen to that religiously, and his as well. Do you have any favorite podcasts that you like to listen to?
I actually don't listen to podcasts. It's normally I normally just have music playing constantly.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I do. What do you call it?
What's your?
Say that again.
You just put it on shuffle. You just put it on shuffle and listen.
Well, I do have a Spotify playlist for Concert Junkies, so I pretty much put at least one song from almost everybody I've interviewed on there, and I just let it go.
Nice.
So it helps them out
do you have
as well.
Yeah. So do you have like a go song for like different moods that you're in or different like scenarios, anything like that?
It really depends on the day. I literally listen to everything. Halfway through my
So do you
day,
have
I'll
like your
be.
go-to?
My always go-to is listening to Korn all day, but I mean, I have everything
Okay.
on shuffle. I have on the other playlist. It's everything up to freaking Reba McEntire. Like it's just. I normally pull what song relates to me, and I put it on the playlist.
Nice. Yeah, I've got
So
a couple of different playlists on my Spotify.
But lately, I've been listening to more of like Forever May Fall and a few other bands.
Nice. So what's your favorite concert you've ever been to?
I'm going to have to. I've been to a lot. I'm gonna have to
I know
say
that's a
the I actually have two next month. Um, I'm gonna have to say the first Family Values tour, hands
okay.
down. That was '98. It was Korn was there, Limp Bizkit, Blue Monday, Ice Cube, Rob Stein. Like that was my. You could not pay me enough money to sell those tickets.
I don't.
It
Yeah,
was like
that's a great lineup right there. It's a
it
great
was
lineup.
it was ridiculous.
Now, okay, so if you could go back in the time, what's the one concert? You get a time machine. You get to go to one date. You get to go to one concert. What concert do you choose?
I'm gonna have to say Woodstock.
The original or 99?
I'm gonna have to say '99.
Did you watch that documentary that just came
Not
out?
not yet. I don't have Netflix at the moment.
Oh my gosh, it is, because I remember when in '99 I was in 8th grade when that came out. So it was a big thing going on at the time, and social media wasn't a thing or anything. So, but we knew it was going on. The whole behind the scenes thing that they do in the documentary it just blows your mind about how everything was just thrown together at the last minute, and it was all about making money. They didn't put people's safety,
Oh
or
no, they
they didn't
didn't.
have enough porta potties. It was a total shit show. But the
Then the
concerts were fantastic.
that was
So I mean, they had Cheryl Crow there, and she just destroyed. The one thing I remember, they interviewed the lead singer from Bush, and he described how he had to go on after. Who did he go on after? I think he went on after I want to say Rage Against the Machine or Korn. I can't remember which one it was. So his thing is the crowd was like hyped up, and he kind of had to get them to calm down because they were starting to like, they hadn't like gone crazy just yet. That was the next day that happened. But how the lead singer from Bush talked about how he kind of got under control while he was playing his set, and that was really good. But that's solid lineup for Woodstock. That's a good choice. Me personally, I would have done Live Aid.
Really.
Yes.
I mean that was a good one as well.
Yes.
But I think everything started with the fire, and everything was Chili Peppers, I believe.
Correct. Yeah, when so it started getting the second day when Limp Bizkit played. That's when they started like tearing like the stage and everything, the sound island and stuff. That's when they really started getting bad. Then Red Hot Chili Peppers came on, and those guys put on a hell of a show.
Yes,
and they just kept going. And so that's when the fire started. Well, because they passed around candles, because it was something about remembering Columbine, because the Columbine shooting was a couple of months before that. And then the people still had those candles. Red Hot Chili Peppers start playing, and then that's when the shit really hit the fan.
Yeah, they played last night at Giant Stadium.
Nice.
I actually got to see them with STP, the original STP, pouring freaking rain, but it was amazing.
Oh yeah. I've been to a couple of concerts. There's a down here in my area. There's a thing called Chili Fest, and it used to be a chili cook-off, and they'd have some local bands play, and now it's to the point where a couple of years ago they had ZZ Top headline it.
Nice.
And it's in this middle. It's in this field out in the middle of Snook, Texas. There's always bad weather, so it's super muddy. It's so bad that they have a justice of the peace station there. So when people get wrote up for public intoxication or anything like that, underage drinking, they take them to the makeshift courthouse, which is basically like a fifth wheel. They write them the ticket, everything, and then they send them back to the concert.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then it's one road in. It's a farm to market road. It's a dirt road. Well, now it's paved, but it's a 2-lane state highway. There is DWI checkpoints all the way, and now you're no longer allowed to bring your own alcohol. You can buy it from the local distributor here. You can pay for it, and they will have it delivered to your area where you're camping, because you have to buy a plot for your campsite, and they will deliver however much alcohol you want. But they only deliver beer. They don't deliver hard liquor. That's one thing they don't do. And of course, people still sneak in all kinds of alcohol, drugs, and whatnot.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Younger me loved it. Now, it's not really my thing.
That's great.
So, what's the first concert you ever saw?
The first was Orange 9mm and Fu Manchu. It was.
How old were you for that?
Yeah, that was like. We used to have a small venue. It was called Birch Hill. So we were there every weekend. Like, it was everybody and their mother has played there. Like, I think even Metallica played there. Like, it was a small venue.
When you say small, like how small?
I'm gonna have to say, like, you could fit maybe a couple hundred, not even.
Okay, that's a decent sized venue for.
It was decent, but it was like you were shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
We had that until, like, I'm gonna have to say mid 2000s. Yeah, everything, anybody you can think of came through there, even Papa Roach.
Nice.
I even got to wait.
Now, are they coming through there like when they're like a name brand band, or is it like they're up and coming, like paying their dues?
No, it was they came there when their first CD dropped. That was with My Last Resort. Not My Last Resort. What do you call it? Yeah, that was their first CD when that came out.
Yeah, I think
the one that had the roach on top of it.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah,
I think I had that CD when I was in high school.
Funny story is, I had tickets to that show, but the fire marshal shut nobody else coming in. But I got to wait on the drummer a couple hours before the show, and I was like, I'll see you later. Yeah.
Nice. My first concert, I saw Garth Brooks at the local arena here in College Station. My first ever concert, and that dude is a showman. He puts on a hell of a show. I think I was like 8 or 9 when I saw that. And the first show I saw was it was the day I turned 18. I went to the Hall of Fame, which was a dance hall and doesn't exist anymore. I saw Randy Rogers band there before they were a big name Texas country artist, and bought their CD, bought a shirt. It was one of the best concerts I ever went to. And the cool thing about that concert is because they weren't so big, the venue was like half full. And so you could sit next to the stage and listen, or you could go in the back and you could dance. So half the time I'd be up there listening, and then I was dancing with my girl in the back. It was a great time. That I think I had more fun at that concert than I did with Garth Brooks, because Garth Brooks was up in the nosebleed section. Randy Rogers were kind of stage isn't that high, and those guys were out there. They just signed a record label, and so they were doing this, promoting their first album. It was awesome. So one concert you were going to,
Say that again?
like, you did not get your money's worth. What's the one concert that you went to that you did not enjoy? Like you did not get your worth.
I'm gonna have to say Hoobastank.
Really? What was about that concert that just didn't do it for you?
The stage presence. It wasn't there.
So they were just up there playing, but they weren't like into it, is like that, or
It was when they first came out.
they were just there to get.
They first came out, and it was, what do you call it? I'm gonna have to say Before the Reason, their other hit song. I don't remember the name of the other hit song. It just wasn't. It wasn't there.
Yeah.
I ended up hanging out with one of the opening bands. Their name was
Do you remember the name?
Blindside, but yeah, their name was Blindside. I'm not sure if they're a thing anymore,
Okay.
but
So they were just there, but they weren't there.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like
The vibe wasn't there at all.
Have you been to a concert like that, or was that just like a one-time thing?
Honestly, that was a one-time thing. Every show after that, amazing.
Okay. Do you think it was maybe just like for them, it was just that show, like maybe they're just tired or something like that, or that they just didn't care?
It could have just been an off night, but I'm just saying in general, like,
Yeah.
I didn't leave, but I walked away, saying, like, I was still there to hear it, but I wasn't in the pit. I wasn't on the side. I was at the merch table.
Yeah. And I get that. There's nights that, I always try to give 100% when I'm on stage. And there's nights where I just have an off night. I feel terrible because, I mean, even if it's a free show, like we don't charge a cover or anything, I feel bad because, those people chose to come out and watch a bunch of local comedians perform. And just, I'm always critic. Always, when I get off stage, always like, oh, I should have said this or I should have said that. And so just perform when I don't get, when I have a good show. Not that I don't give 100%, but I just don't have a good show or have an off night. Man, I kick myself in the ass constantly. And it's even worse if like people pay money to go to that show, which now that I've had a lot of practice is not an issue because I know how to like, dip into a bad set and legit and whatnot. But so I get the having the off night, but
But is it really a bad set? Like, it's a learning experience, no matter what you do in life.
it definitely is. The thing is, because I've been doing comedy for so long, I definitely hold myself standard because I know what I can do. I've performed in front of 2 people. I have performed in front of 2,000 people. And my thing is, if I'm just performing in front of 2 people, I'm going to give them the same energy as if I'm in front of 2,000 people. And you're bad night. I have jokes that don't hit, and I'm like I said, I'm my own worst critic, and so I will always kick myself in the ass if I don't do good. But that's just the performer in me, because the ultimate goal is to do this professionally full time, and so for me, like, no one ever bats 1,000 playing baseball. No one never not throws an interception as a quarterback. So for me, I know that I'm gonna have an off night, and when I do, I just I kick myself in the ass all the time.
Oh,
Because, like I said,
I totally feel you on that. Like, I'll rewatch one of these and I'm like, yeah, I could have done better. I get it.
Yeah. I quit watching recordings of myself because I was like, I'm going to record this and then I'm going to watch it later and I'm going to take notes and do better. And what I've noticed is either I don't watch it because I just don't want to see myself do bad, or I'm so critical of myself that I get like super depressed. Like, I put myself in depressive state because I'm like, oh, you can do better. For the last 3 or 4 months, I haven't recorded any of my sets. I'll record the audio just in case, but I don't go back and listen to it unless I need to work on something. And a lot of my friends that I perform with have told me over the last 4 months I've been doing better. And I think that's because subconsciously I know I'm not going to go back and listen or look at that set. So no matter what happens.
But I mean, it's always good to have it. So
for sure,
you want to put.
And my thing too is,
you want to put it on a
yeah.
podcast.
I've stopped putting my stand-up sets on social media, because no one's. I mean, that's the thing, is the reason I would put something up is because I'm never going to tell that joke again. But right now, there's no reason for me to throw a joke out. Now, like Louis C.K. said when he does a special, he'll never tell those jokes ever again. He will tell a joke, get it ready for a special. He'll shoot the special. He'll never do those jokes ever again. There are other comedians that will always go back to their old sets and do that. So for me, I'm taking that Louis C.K. mindset that I'm going to keep every joke I have. So I'm not going to put it out there because I don't want to ruin the surprise for anyone that's never seen me, but they might see me on social media. And so then once I do put out, a special, whether it be, 15, 30 minutes or, whatever, that's when I'll retire that joke. But right now, I don't want to retire any jokes. I want to be able to use whatever I have. I have hours upon hours of joke material I can use. So.
Do you ever feel of having a catchphrase?
I thought about it. Nothing's really come to mind. Nothing's happened. Like, I would love to have something like, you might be a redneck. Because, I mean, Jeff Foxworth's made over $1 billion on that. Larry the Cable Guy has Get Her Done. Bert Kreischer has the Machine Story. I don't have that yet. But at the same time, if I never have one, that won't disappoint me. But if I have something that catches and that's, very catchy, that people will, when they hear it, they think of me, I'll run with it 100%. But right now I don't have that. And I might get it tomorrow. I might get it a couple of years from now.
You can brand on getting merch after that.
For sure. So I actually have a brand that I'm doing now. So this shirt says "Keep Brian Dangerous." So where I live in it's like a small Twin Cities. It's like Dallas Fort Worth. It's Bryan College Station. The cities are like literally right next to each other. Back in the day, Bryan was considered like the bad part of town. That's where I grew up. And so everyone would always say, hey, don't go to Bryan. That's where all the bad stuff. That's where all the drugs are. It's where all the the crackheads, everything. And now the city has put in millions upon millions of dollars to get it up. Like the downtown area is one of my favorite places to hang out. There's a lot of venues that I perform at. There's great restaurants. They're building a multi-million-dollar indoor sports complex there as well. So over the years, Bryan has become a better city. And now College Station is having a lot of, they're having, people are stealing Cadillac converters daily. Cars are getting jacked. The rims are getting jacked. And so I always make the joke. I was like, oh, yeah, but Bryan's dangerous because statistically, Bryan does not have as much crime as College Station. So that's why I made this shirt, to keep Bryan dangerous. It's a play off of keep Austin weird.
Okay.
So it's to keep Bryan dangerous. And so I was at a networking event for the Chamber of Commerce before I jumped on here. And what I liked is people either loved my shirt or they hated it. And I'd always ask the people, well, why do you hate my shirt? And they're like, well, Bryan's not dangerous. I was like, yeah, but we need to keep it dangerous. And then I would tell them, I was like, College Station is now starting to get the rap to be dangerous. And we can't let them have that. That was our thing back in the day. And so, I turn it into a joke. Even when I'm like networking, I'm still like on, being funny.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, like I get what you're doing. So I'm going to start making these shirts that sell when I start. Hopefully I can start touring here in the next couple of, months. And I'll definitely sell this as one of my things. I have a joke where I talk about, so there's a small town outside of Bryan called Hearne, Texas. And Hearne has a very interesting fact about it. Hearne is one of, I think, 5 cities that Walmart has closed down a Walmart and did not because they opened up a new one, just because they weren't making any money there. And so the joke is how Hearne got the opportunity to have a Walmart, and they stole so much shit from the Walmart that Walmart was like, that's it, you're done, you've lost Walmart privileges. Like, how shitty of a town do you have to be to lose Walmart privileges? And so the city of Hearne had this giant building that was unoccupied. And so they were like, you know what we should do? We should turn this into something. And they decided to turn it into a high school. So they got money from the state to, renovate it and turn it into a high school. It had all the bells and whistles, all brand new technology. 5 years later, the state of Texas shut down the high school because their grades were so bad. The city of Hearne is such a bad city. Not only do you lose Walmart because people stealing from it, your kids are so dumb, the state takes away your school. I've never heard of a city shutting down a school because the grades were so bad. And that joke kills here. Except for when someone from Hearne comes to one of my things. There's actually a Facebook page for the city of Hearne where it's like a local page where people can post stuff and whatnot. Somebody posted on there about how a comedian was making fun of Hearne, and so many people were pissed off. And I wanted to comment and say that I was that guy, but I didn't want everyone to like show up at my doorstep. And it was just cool because like Tom Segura has a joke where he makes fun of people from Louisiana, and he got all this hate in his inbox. And so I kind of had a similar thing. And so I was just like, yeah, like people are talking about a joke I told. And so that's definitely a joke. And the cool thing is, if you go around Texas, people know about the city of Hearne and how it lost to Walmart. So that joke works really well when I perform here in Texas. And if I go somewhere else, I'll have to elaborate more about the city of Hearne, but it's still how many times have you heard of a city losing a Walmart?
Never.
And so, but like I said, that Facebook page, and like my friends were sending me screenshots about it. Like, dude, these people are talking about your joke. And I was just like, dude, this is awesome. Like something like I wish like they would have gotten like a recording of it and posted it on there. But someone just said,
I would send them.
And I've thought about it because I'm doing a show Sunday and I'm telling that joke. And so I'm thinking about recording it. And then I don't want to I'm going to have a friend of mine post it. I don't want to be the one like, hey, look at this joke I tell. Be like, have like my friend post it and be like, hey, this guy's talking about Hearne, Texas, and just start that shit show all over again. Because there's no such thing as bad publicity. But my thing is if I share it, I don't feel like it'll get as big as a rise as someone else does.
I mean, that would, yeah, I would definitely put. Are you just going to do the audio, or are you just going to actually
No,
have you in
I'm
it?
gonna do I'm gonna have the video so people like see me with the shirt that says "Keep Brian Dangerous."
Okay.
And yeah, oh yeah, no, like if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right.
How the hell do you lose a Walmart and a school at the same time? That's freaking crazy.
So I think the reason I think it was like for like every item that was scanned through the checkout, like 4 items were not. That's how much like they lost. Like millions upon millions of dollars of stuff got stolen. And then so like that's the reason why it shut down. And the reason the school got shut down is because they had in Texas their standardized testing,
Yeah.
and basically the state grades you on how well your kids do the standardized testing. And standardized testing in Texas is a joke, because that's for me personally, and I have family that's they're educators. That's not the best way to judge how smart someone is. Like I barely broke 1,000 on my SAT, but I consider myself a very smart person.
Oh
And
yeah.
so
Don't.
for whatever reason, yeah, I don't believe you can judge someone's intellect on a standardized test. But the test grades were so low that like the state was like, you guys got to get these grades up, and they never did. And so they were like, you lost school privileges. Like you can't have a school. So they actually had to bus those kids to different communities.
You can't have a school. You can't have a Walmart. Next, you're
Yeah.
gonna say
Now
you
it's just
can't
a
have.
big empty. It's just a big empty building. That's it. The only reason that Hearn is there is because they have a railroad yard there. That's like the main economy there, and drugs. So a lot of meth heads in Hearn. So it's fun time. It's fun time in these small towns. I think there's only like maybe 5,000 people in that town. So it's not a big town. It's a huge speed trap. Like if I want to go to Dallas, I have to go through Hearn. And it's like you're
Really?
going 75 on the highway, and then you got to stop and go like 35 through the city, and then you go back up to the highway. It's a huge speed trap city.
I still can't believe they got rid of a Walmart and a school.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
People need jobs.
I see, and the thing is, like, maybe you lose one and not the other, but you lose both, and this is in 10 years. This is not a long time at all.
My biggest thing is the school. Like, I mean,
yeah, and it's high school, so it's freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. That's that.
That is outlandish to get rid of a school.
I mean, and for the state to say like, hey, you can't have a school, because like, then they have to redistrict the junior highs, and then you have to bus kids to different communities to go to school. And so, I mean, hopefully they can get the school back or something, because I mean, that sucks because some kids can't go, like, you're breaking up friendships and whatnot because, one friend's got to go to this city because he lives on this side of town. And then your friend that lives on the other side of town has to go to a different school. So your friend that you grew up going with, you're not friends with anymore. You can't be on the same sports team. Things like that. It sucks. It splits up a community. But at the same time, I hope that those kids going to these other school districts get the help they need to do better and can better their lives. Because I know if they stay in Hearn, there's not much there. And my thing is, I'm always about people bettering their lives. And if you're in a situation where you can't do that, that doesn't benefit you at all. So hopefully they can do something.
And I mean, Texas is all about football. Like, how is that? What do you call it? Helping if you got rid of a school? Is it less teams to play?
No, because it's that school. It's not a big. That's not like a big high school. So the tiers of high school is 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, and 5A. 5A is the biggest. 5A's rival most junior colleges when it comes to student population. And I think they were like a 2A high school. They weren't a very
Oh,
big
okay.
high school, so it didn't
I'm,
affect them. I mean,
I'm,
they could play sports at the other school if they needed to.
I'm just saying because
But
football's
Her
everything.
yeah, like I said, Hearn's not really known for their sports because it's a small town. Which I mean, it sucks. But at the same time, they can go down the road to Calvert, and Calvert has they play 6-man football there. I think they won a state championship not too long ago. They're great at basketball, so they can go play sports there. But at the same time, it's like I would want to play for my hometown. I would not like to be like live in Hearn, but I have to play at a different school. There's no, you don't have that hometown pride, And granted, I went to a private school here in town, but at the same time, like I had school pride. I wanted to represent my school, and then they tell me like, hey, you can't. They're shutting down the school. You gotta go play at this other. You gotta go somewhere else. A different town. There's that pride's not there. Because especially with small towns, the camaraderie with the school football program, especially here in Texas, like everyone goes to the football games on Friday nights. The book and movie Friday Night Lights. That's every small town in Texas. So losing that football program, you killed the community because there's nothing to look forward to on that Friday night.
Or the money for the tickets.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, you're losing everything, and it's just a community killer. But at the same time, it's not like they gave them plenty of chances to fix it, and they just didn't. It was either because someone didn't care, or they just dropped the ball. I mean, I don't know exactly what happened, but I mean, the state doesn't just up and take your school away. I mean, I'm sure there's a protocol you have to follow.
I mean, I would never have known about any of this if you didn't tell me. Like, I don't see
that's the thing. It's such a small, it's a small town because I only know about it because it's 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
And so like when I go and tell that joke, people are amazed. And some people don't believe me, and I'm like, Google it. Like if you Google it, it will tell you that they've lost Walmart and they lost the school. And it's just one of those crazy things that like nobody would know until I tell that joke. Because it's like for me, I'm telling that because it's such a crazy thing that happened. And then people get to learn about it. So that might be my catchphrase. How you lose Walmart privileges. Probably not, but it's a fun joke to tell.
I'd buy it.
Oh yeah.
Definitely buy it.
It's just like it's one of those crazy things that like when you tell people, like when I say the joke, like y'all know Walmart like or Hearn lost to Walmart, and people who don't know that story look at you like, is this dude serious? And then you tell the story and they're like, oh my gosh. And then after the show, they come up and talk to you and they're like, I had to Google that and you were correct. They did lose a Walmart. I was like, I would not make this up because it's something you can definitely Google.
Speaking after the show, is like, do people actually come? Come try to find you to talk, or is that a?
Yeah, people. If someone really likes a joke, they'll come up and tell me like, "Hey man, I really like that joke you told." The one thing I hate is usually when I get off stage, I have to go pee. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, when I get on stage, I really have to pee. So when I get off stage, I beeline it to the bathroom. And for whatever reason, the more I have to pee, the more people want to talk to me.
Yeah.
And I love talking to people after my set. I was like, hey, give me a second. I got to go take a piss, and then I'll come back. I love when people give me feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. I think it's even funnier when I get done with the show and somebody tells me how much they didn't like a joke. Because like my thing is like, if I ever see something on social media or someone says something I don't agree with or whatnot, I'm not going to give them any energy. I'm not giving them the time or any of my energy to deal with it unless it's like something serious that's like going to affect me in a way. Like I told the joke, and this girl didn't. This is something about online dating, and she came up and she was like, "I didn't like that joke," and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and like I kept going, and she was like, "No, like I want to talk to you about it." I was like, "Well, I don't want to, so you can be mad." And she's like, "I've never come to a show again." I was like, "Okay, no problem." And the funny thing is, she came back the next week. And I told her, I saw in the crowd, I was like, "Hey, I thought you said you weren't coming back." But yeah, no. But anytime someone tells me I do a good job, like I love it. When like people always ask me like, "Hey, where'd you come up with that joke?" And then oh, it's just something I experienced. So I love feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. I just love when people talking to people and like I was at that networking thing and just talking to people how I love to perform and whatnot, and you can just talking about it's a passion of mine. I love talking about what I'm passionate about, which is stand-up comedy. So yeah, I love it. I even love it more when they get mad.
So I saw you were in a magazine recently.
Yeah, a friend of mine's sister has a magazine that she started a couple of years ago. So they they interview music artists and everything. So he suggested she interview me as a comedian. Talked about how I got into stand-up comedy, people I look up to, where I perform, things like that. That was pretty cool to see, like my name, my picture, like printed, like in a magazine, like that. That was pretty cool.
So where are you playing next?
So Sunday night, I'm doing a show at the Queen Theater in downtown Bryan. It is a historic building. They've got one of the Texas. They have the historic plaque that they put on there. I believe it's the first comedy show ever to be performed there. So super excited about that. Bryan being my hometown and carry that hometown pride. So we're performing there on Sunday, and then I'll be performing again Thursday at the Five Knock Speakeasy in downtown Bryan. I'll also be driving to Houston to do some open mics and try to get on some shows out there. Now that gas has gone down a little bit.
So where can you be followed?
You can follow me on social media at Lee Cross Comedy. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I like to post stuff there. Follow me on Facebook, just Lee Cross. Got any questions, shoot me a message. If you want to get into stand-up, shoot me a message and I'll help you get on stage. I always tell people, if you want to try stand-up comedy, do it. You might find out it's not your thing, but you can say that you tried it, or you might be the next big thing. You never know. I personally enjoy it, and I always encourage people to do it.
All right. I would like to thank you for your time.
Thanks, you, man. This is a lot of fun. Appreciate you having me on.
So this is going to be on Facebook, TikTok later on, and YouTube, of course, and Twitch. So all of the streaming platforms, you can find this. For Twitch, it is just Concert Rob, and everything else is all the same.
Awesome, man. This is a blast. Appreciate you having me on.
Have a great night.
Yes, sir.